Another free infant here.
Call the meeting of order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On behalf of the Board of Education, welcome to our meeting. We would like the audience to know that this meeting is being recorded and that the recording will be available shortly. We would also like you to know that if you have questions or concerns, then we strongly encourage you to utilize the Honeywell Central School chain of contact. This will ensure that topics that are of importance to you are directed to the appropriate person and can be looked into in a timely and efficient way. Before we proceed, please make sure that your cell phones and devices are set to silent or to off so that we may conduct board business without distraction. Jen, is there anyone signed up to speak during public discussion tonight?
Yeah.
Public expression will not exceed 30 minutes. Each speaker has no more than 5 minutes and will be given a 1 minute. Once you're called to the podium, please utilize the microphone and state your name and address. Please know that personal comments are directed at a student or students, specific school personnel, or members of the Board of Education, or a community member or members. Doing so will terminate at time. We encourage communication and value input from Honeywell Central stakeholders. However, we will not respond this time. Items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration in future response. Thank you for your interest. Just make sure that's on if it's, there should be the little person button.
The little person's.
No, turn it off.
Perfect. How's that? Good evening. I know most of you, but for those that don't know me, my name is Karen Shield, and I am write-in candidate for the Board of Education. I've been a district resident since 1987, calling candidates at home. I have 10 children, 6 of whom have graduated here, and 4 who are pulling up the ranks. I'm a retired teacher, retiring from HCS in 2020. I'm a foster parent and educator for Ontario County Department of Social Services. I have attended numerous continuing education classes, both professionally and as a foster parent. Over the years, I have been involved in various school organizations, such as PTA, band boosters, and sports boosters. As a parent, community member, and retired teacher, I'm extremely familiar with school. It's small but mighty. Our school plays a central role in our community, providing not only formal education to our children, but also by providing various experiences for our children and community members. Experiences such as clubs, concerts, plays, sporting events, and even our students provide for the Memorial Day parade. We need to look at fiscal responsibility. We know that almost every growth has increased in schools. Unfortunately, are not immune to this. We need to have discussions with various stakeholders to ensure that strong, informed financial decisions are being made. I believe in honesty. I believe in transparency as much as it can be afforded. I believe all children should have a positive school experience. I believe that we as a district need to listen to and to support our families. I believe in collaboration with local businesses and students, teachers, and families. Most importantly, I believe in doing the right thing simply because it is the right thing. I don't do it because it's politically correct or it will benefit me in some way or it makes me popular, but simply because it is the right thing to do. I know that my beliefs, personal experiences, as well as professional experiences make me an excellent addition to the existing board. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we move on to kudos. Does anyone have? Jerry?
Of course. First of all, a big kudo again to this month's elementary and secondary newsletters. They're informative, they're on target, and it's nice to hear what's going on. Okay, parents, community members, grandparents, they're well done. So thank you, a big kudo, and thank you, both principals, for getting those out in a timely fashion, and we can get everyone. The honor rolls, secondary, well, elementary doesn't have them, but secondary, 187 out of our 283 students, which is like 66%, made honor roll. Either honor roll, principal honor roll, or staff honor roll. To me, that's amazing. I mean, the academics here speak for themselves, so. And that's what we're here for, more than anything else. It's wonderful to see. And thirdly, the budget newsletter, I thought was a great addition this year. Informative, it was right on the spot in terms of a lot of the information there. So like a big kudos to the district and Natalie, and Mike, and Derek for putting it out. It was really well done. So, and lastly, don't forget to play the school.
Anybody else? Jim?
Yeah, I just got one. I'd like to send a kudo out to Natalie for being the supreme wrangler of the Honeymoon Community Committee. She coordinates this group by trying to get some organizations, all of the clubs, organizations, and groups that make up our town, along with other people that help her. But she has been the grand leader and doing a great job. I've heard many comments being at the meetings and after the meetings about how well you do, Natalie, and I just wanted to thank you and tell you that keep up the good work that you're doing great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Megan?
I just wanted to thank Mary Beth and Rosemary and the nurses that are here for pre-K through 12th grade. Today was school nurse day, so I want to give a kudos to them. Thank you for their support with our students every day. Also, I was going to talk about the letter, but Jerry covered that, but I want to thank Jerry and Cindy for being on the budget committee. It's a very, and Jermaine, anybody else? Okay, so their feedback to us is very helpful when they come back, and relatable, so I just want to give a quick to you guys.
Anyone else? Okay, I just have one. It is teacher and staff appreciation week. And so, Natalie, I shared a slide with earlier today. So, this is Hey Bulldogs to be a part of our big picture. On a recent tour at the Finger Lakes Technical and Career Center, board members and Superintendent Fluke were observing a student in the graphic design classroom sketching the book. When asked what the purpose of the book was, because other students were all in various stages of working on designs on computers, the student mentioned that this was the way that their class had found to communicate with the other students in the morning session. Some people leave drawings, some leave quotes, and others come along and the classroom also had a whiteboard in which similar messages were left for only 1 week before the fresh start. The paper version never gets erased. We thought this was a great idea. A message or a colorful sketch could change someone's day. The small idea can make a huge difference to someone. This is a fantastic way to build unity. So on behalf of the Board of Education, we have collected our own money and purchased a poster. We would like to have it displayed so that the faculty, staff, and students can add their impact to everyone else's day throughout the day. We want you all to be part of our big picture. So thank you to all of the teachers and staff for everything you do. And we hope that everyone will enjoy. This is actually a picture of the poster. So thank you again for. All right, and then if there are no more kudos, we will move on to meet the candidates. So going by order of the ballot, and how the names are pulled, first I'll introduce Megan Mason.
All right, good evening. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Megan Basil. It's weird to look at yourself. Picture of myself as I'm here. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Art Education, 4th through 12th grade from Nazareth University. Honeywell was where I completed part of my student teaching requirement and began to make connections within the school community. My husband and I have called Honeywell home for the past almost 16 years with our 3 sons. Professionally, I am the owner and operator of my own licensed daycare, family daycare within the Honeywell School District. I provide care for toddlers and young children by providing a safe, nurturing environment within my home. I encourage cognitive and physical development through art projects, reading, dramatic play, and exploration in nature. I have served on the New York Rural Carrier Letter Association as Vice President and Treasurer of Livingston County Chapter, the Honeywell Co-op Nursery School Board, participated in PTA events, and have coached baseball along with Richmond Rock basketball, and a member of the Sports Boosters Club. In my free time, I enjoy camping, working with my family on our hardy farm, and crocheting. I have decided to run for another term on the Honeywell Central School Board, continuing to enhance partnership with the school community. By my experience these past 2 years on the school board, it has set the foundation for me to continue serving the district. From serving as a board member to vice president this year has been a great experience, and through self-assessment and taking development opportunities to become a better board member to serve our community. I have been in attendance for 59 board meetings, including special meetings, board workshops, yearly reorganizational meetings, and budget workshops. I believe I am a qualified candidate for one of the 2 open board seats in this election. My vision continues to build a better, safe community, a strong education system with an eye on fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Next up will be Midna Gonzalez.
What you do know me, but I'll start like you do. My name is Midna, and as you know, I'm running for the Board of Education, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm the mom of a 10th and 11th grader, and outside of my time in the military, Honeywell's been home for nearly 30 years. I know I don't look that old, but it is. And the possibility again to represent this community was an opportunity I just couldn't pass up. My reason for running is simple. I want to continue giving back to the community that's given so much to me and my family, and I believe that's why I'm supporting our school. That's why after completing my military service, I knew exactly where I wanted my kids to attend school, so packed up, right back to home, back to Honeywell. The school is the heart of any community, and what ours is doing is truly exceptional. The opportunities available to our students are outstanding, and I know that firsthand. My child, who's a student here at Honeywell, thanks to the school's commitment to innovation, is actually able to attend P-TECH at North Bose's. And in this incredible program, he's actually able to earn his associate's degree while completing his high school diploma. And if you ask me, that's a pretty cool opportunity. I wish I had had that in school. I did have the opportunity actually to be a graduate from Honeywell class of 2001, so just a couple years. I'm someone who will ask the hard questions and stands by every student as if they were my own. Over the years, I've actually had the privilege of coaching many of these students and watching them grow into amazing young people. I've also had the pleasure of getting to know many of the community members while working at Mill Creek. And I would be honored to continue serving you and your concerns and interests on the board because I share those same concerns and interests. I understand the importance of balancing the financial realities of our community with the needs to provide a higher education. I'm eager to explore the solutions that can respect those priorities. I want to be part of a team that puts students first and ensures that they have a voice. The school, board, and its administration have done a remarkable job doing just that, and I would be honored to contribute to the continued. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Magna. And then, Kaylee Schultz.
Good evening. My name is Kaylee Schultz, and I'm honored to be a candidate for the Honeymoon Central School Board of Education. As a proud graduate of Honeymoon Central School, class of 2010, I know firsthand the transformative power of a high-quality education. Throughout my academic journey, I've seen the incredible impact that is dedicated I've seen the incredible impact that dedicated educators and supportive communities can have in shaping the lives of our students. Now I'm committed to giving back to the community that has given me so much. One of my primary goals as a school board member will be to enhance transparency between the board and our community. I firmly believe that an informed community is an empowered one. And by fostering open communication channels, we can ensure that every voice is heard and valued. I am also deeply passionate about creating a safer and educational environment for our students. Safety is paramount in any learning environment. Our school must be a place where our children feel safe, supported, and empowered to learn and grow. I will work in conjunction with parents, teachers, administration, and law enforcement to implement policies and procedures that prioritize the safety and well-being for everyone. Together, we can continue to uphold the tradition of excellence that defines our district while also striving for continuous improvement. With your support, I am confident that we can build a brighter future for all of our students.
You, Kaylee. All right, we will move on to the budget hearing. I would just like to begin with a definition. In school law, it is written that the purpose of such a hearing is to present the school board's proposed school budget for the upcoming school year to district voters prior to the actual budget vote. The board held budget workshops on March 5th, 2025 and March 19th, 20. During these workshops, the community was afforded the opportunity to ask questions and or comment on the budget prior to the board adopting a proposed budget at the 4/23/20 board meeting. At this time, the hearing is a presentation only. The board will not be entertaining questions. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email either myself or the superintendent Fluke, and we will make sure that those questions are forwarded to the appropriate people and that a response is gotten back to. And now I will hand the floor over to Derek.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Great. All right, my name is Derek Belize, and I will be talking about the other half of the ballot for May 20th. We just saw our candidates. So we're going underway with the budget. So tonight, we're going to talk about the proposed expenses, the proposed revenues, and tax projections. We are the Board of Education candidates. So proposed expenses. This is our walkthrough of the budget. The current school year's budget, we're at $19,732,082. When we began the budget development process, we started out at $21,565,371. At that point, we had a large deficit as the district looked at where we could trim contingencies or find some things that we could do for the next school year. We ended up on a final budget of $20,596,240. What that budget looks like. The largest portion of our budget goes right to our most valuable asset, which is our staff. So salaries and other benefits is the largest amount. You will see a decrease in salaries, but that is not a reduction in staff. That is a form of continuously trimming. Mr. Basham has shared in his previous presentations that the district had double budgeted some grant salaries in prior years. And due to the nature of this year's budget, those have been removed. So that's what that representation of a loss of $36,000. It is not a reduction in staff. In addition to that, you're going to see a large increase in contractual services. This is largely being driven by utilities, insurance, and out-of-district tuition. But overall, we have an increase of 4.38% or $864,000 for the next school year. Another way to look at it, and you'll see this in the budget brochure that went down to your house, is broken out by categories, general support instruction. In this category, general support, you'll see a large increase in contractual service. When you break out the budget in these different categories, that is actually where a lot of the insurance and utilities are housed. Obviously, that wouldn't apply to instruction. And then an increase in BoC's contractual services, and that is largely related to payroll services. In the instruction, you see a 46.82% increase in contractual services. That is again out of district special ed tuition. And then a large increase in supplies, and that relates to a district curriculum change and new ELA textbooks for next school year. On the transportation side, we do allocate some insurance and utilities there. That's in an attempt to maximize state aid. As it's built through the transportation codes, we receive transportation aid from the state. So that will be the large increase in the contractual service that is made up from, again, insurance and utilities. Down in other support and capital, you see a large increase in bus purchases, and that is an additional bus for next school year. So how are we going to pay for it? Our proposed revenue, as of right now, New York State, I hear there is a budget, but we have not yet seen state aid run reports. We do feel pretty confident that the state aid number that is presented tonight is going to be accurate. We have not heard any which way that it will be less than this number, but just want to let you know that these numbers are still not available to us. Overall, the state aid is going up $76,000 or less than 1%, which is causing a lot of the hardship. We're not getting an appropriate level of support from the state that is significantly less than inflation. Inflation was just shy of 3%. So you see an increase in the tax levy of 5.69% or $587,000 to kind of help lower that gap. The remainder of the budget deficit was closed through significant increase in the use of reserves. This is not the best case scenario that we want to be in. We are operating a budget deficit. We are spending more than we're bringing in, but we were able to close the budget gap giving that. So in the lower right-hand corner is the use of our reserves and how much we are pulling out of those reserves to close that budget gap. And this is just a chart that will show the left side in the gray is the expenditures, and in order to have a budget, it must be balanced. And then to the right is the makeup of the budget. As you can see, in prior years, we were less dependent on the local taxpayers, and now at the very bottom is the levy, again, because our state aid increases over the last several years have not been significant enough to maintain our funding levels. So this is the tax cap history since the tax cap was instituted in 2015. And as you can see, the district has been keeping the community in mind as determining the tax levy. Most years we went out below our allowable limit. Even in 2018, we went with a negative tax rate, and in 2022, we actually went out in a 0% tax rate. In that 5.69 number that we were presented, about 1.5% of it is purely related to carryover. Carryover is a component of the tax cap calculation. When districts do not go out at the cap, a portion of the difference is allowed for carryover. This budget is going to the cap, so if approved by the community, that will not be in the tax cap calculation going forward. And based off of our projections, and some of this is yet to be determined because there's numbers that are set by the state in January of each calendar year, but based off of our projections, we're looking at tax rate increases, if approved, at the maximum level will range from 1.9% to 3.2% over the next 5 years. So
We don't want the community to think that we're going to continue to ask for a large tax increase. We believe that this is a one-time ask of the community, and going forward, we will not see as large of an increase. Projected tax rates. So I'm going to use two different terms tonight, and these are the definition. An actual tax rate is what you're going to see on your tax bill. And then true tax is what the tax rate would be if your property was 100% assessed. So the difference between these actual tax rates and the true tax rate is just the product of the equalization rate, which is set by the state of New York. If they feel that your town, village is not appropriately assessed, they equalize the rate by adjusting the tax rate through this process. So these are the actual rates for that school year based off of the budget. And this is not including the library tax rate. So overall, you see an increase in the tax rate and a sharp decline in the Richmond tax rate. Again, this is a product of the reassessment. So while property values went up, you see a large decrease in property tax rate. And when we calculated this number, we did reach out to the Richmond assessor, but they have what's called a grievance day. So if you receive your tax bill, there is a possibility that you can challenge your tax assessment, which would reduce that. So when we did this number, we took into consideration that the number that the town of Richmond gave us will probably not be what's used for the tax cap or tax rate calculation, because community members do have a chance to challenge the tax rate. So this is a conservative number. These would be the tax rate or tax bills that you would see for a $200,000, $300,000, and $400,000 house. I do want to note that these do not include any STAR savings. If you do receive the basic STAR, that is going to range from $338 to $364 based off of your municipality, or an enhanced STAR rebate or credit of $947 to $992. In order for taxpayers to fully understand whether tax increase or not, we've actually seen a couple of parcels where, due to the difference in assessments, there are a couple of properties that will see a tax reduction. But to better understand how these reassessments and these tax rates will impact you, we encourage you to go on the district website and pull down your tax bill from last year, and then use these numbers to compare what your new assessment is. There are thousands and thousands of variations that this number could be. Unfortunately, we were not able to capture that in one slide. So this is data of our neighboring school districts. It's right off the Ontario or New York State Comptroller's Office. And these are the actual tax rates. So if you look at Honey Central School District compared to Ontario, Wayne, Livingston, and Monroe County, we are significantly lower than the other taxes. This is as of this year. Our goal isn't to get to the $18.20. It's just a representation of us being cognizant of the community. And then this next one is our estimated for next year's actual tax rate that will be on the tax bill, but the other counties are not adjusted. As you can see, ours is going up from 1164 to 1214. We would imagine that the other counties would go up. So just using our next year's actual tax rates to this year's county rates, we are still significantly lower than our neighboring school districts. And last slide for you tonight is just another emphasis on how conservative our estimates were tonight. The gray bar represents the number that was presented to the community in May as we're doing our estimate. And then the blue bar represents what was actual after we did the tax calculation, when we have all of our final assessments and the calculation is done and approved by the board in August. And again, the purpose of this slide is more to emphasize that the numbers tonight we don't know what the numbers are going to be, so we do have a conservative number. We do expect them to be lower, but we can't guarantee. But as the chart indicates, it's most likely lower than what was presented.
Thank you, Derek. We will move on to Board of Education Committee reports and updates, if anybody has.
I just want to remind
You had to turn your mic on, please. Sorry.
you, I just want to remind everybody that May 15th is the 50-year celebration at Fort County's in their annual meeting at 1286 in Geneva. It's a free dinner and they have an excellent presentation with some very good speakers. So if anyone wants to go, the cutoff date is May 9th to register.
I did have a legislative committee meeting, but there was only a few districts that actually attended. Therefore, we kind of just went over our minutes from last time, accepted the minutes and moved on. Since the New York State budget still hasn't been passed at the time of our meeting, we just decided not to work on the federal paper at the meeting due to having less to learn. So it was a short meeting and, I'll keep everyone updated. We do work on the papers to make sure everything. All right.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Megan. Next, we are looking at the superintendent report, so I will pass the floor over to this superintendent.
All right, thank you, Troy. Hello, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to all of our Board of Ed candidates for your interest in being part of the school in this ever so important way. So thank you all and good luck. I also, regarding the budget, I wanted to say that we want to hear your questions. If you have questions over the next few weeks, please reach out, call us, email us. We want to be able to inform you in the way that you need. So we are hoping you've all received our budget newsletter at this point. We are going to be sharing frequently asked questions or questions we think the community might be asking on our Facebook page. So please be on the lookout for that Q&A section for a few weeks as well. Okay, there's a lot to cover tonight, starting with highlights and special events, as well as updates, including the development of the new cell phone policy. But to kick us off, let's turn our attention to student board member Isabel.
Hello, everyone. So I'll start. These are my student board of education slides for today. So I kind of just share updates on what's kind of going on within our school. So I started off with highlighting just a few clubs going on in our school. Starting off with the dog pack. This dog pack kind of is like an athletic club. So varsity athletic members can join this club and kind of do things to kind of unite the school in an athletic way. So currently we're planning on attending the Special Olympics along with some of our students. So kind of planning kind of who our buddies are going to be and how what we're going to do at the Special Olympics exactly. And then secondly, NHS, in this year we had our third blood drive of the year, and we got enough donors to give 3 scholarships to our members, so that is very exciting. And then most exciting current is our musical, which if you guys were on the way in here, you might have seen I'm getting ready. Both secondary and elementary had kind of a teaser this afternoon to the musical. Very intriguing. We got to see part of 2 scenes, and it seemed very well produced, along with the pit band, which was doing very good. I saw some returning HCS graduates, which was cool to see as well. And then class of 2026, so our current juniors, they're planning and ordering their senior merch. So that's very exciting for them, kind of that transition. And then our high school art club, which I thought was very cool. They're researching fall and spring, like different types of plants that they can put outside of the art room to kind of add that sort of artistic addition to our building. And so it'll be right outside the art room. And then I have also some updates on some sport. So baseball, first of all, along with softball, they've had a lot of rescheduling due to the sad weather lately. And I think this did happen, but yesterday's game that was canceled, I think was rescheduled for today, correct? I saw a bunch of them out there. Softball, yes, okay. So I know there was talk for baseball too about yesterday's game being scheduled, but it was up in the air. And so they initially, before cancellations, they did have a game planned for every single day this week. But there were cancellations, so they didn't have to have a game every single day
this week. And then softball, again, lots of games got canceled today. They did 2 games in a row against the same team, just because of cancellations. But their athletes say practices have become more intense as the season has gone on, and have many games coming up. And then lacrosse so far has only lost 1 game, which is very exciting for them. And one of our Hunway athletes that is in the Bloomfield Hunway team is now the #1 assist leader, breaking the previous record of 72, and the #1 all-time point leader, beating the previous record of 169 points. So that is very exciting for Hunway. And then for tennis, their current record is 3-3. I tried to attend the game today. I did attend it, but it wasn't done by the time I had left, so I don't have the results yet. So the ratio might have changed. And then they are working on improving their serves, spiking, and kind of increasing force in their gameplay. And then JV also noted that they have won multiple games. I think maybe more than that. And then for track, they have a lot of new records and a lot of new PRs. There's a new 4x1 record for the boys that was beat, and then Henry S. set the new 100-meter record. And then even though he didn't exceed the Hunway Bloomfield record, Cody B beat the Hunway record in HCS history for pole vault at 10'9". And that is all for sports. And then this is just a kind of to let you guys know what's going on in the school. There's a lot of testing going around, right? You think most of it happens in June, but we have all our AP testing going on. So Monday was biology, tomorrow is AP stats and world, and I think next Friday is physics. And then along with that, our middle schoolers are taking lessons. It's been very quiet in the halls lately, so that's exciting. And then just a couple of student concerns I have. This one is more athletic related. Some of the softball athletes kind of expressed concerns about needing tarps to fields. Our current varsity baseball field has tarps for their pitchers and their pitchers mound and home base. And then, so not having these tarps like the boys, leads to some flooding, which can make the fields unplayable. And then I know Ms. just said that she's gonna touch upon it, but the phone bin. So students understand that this is gonna be implemented next year through New York State, but I thought it would be very informative if we had maybe a meeting with students before students to see what it would be like at Hunway and what it'll look like. Because I think there is some leniency within different districts. And then also, this is maybe a little silly one, but the senior water slide. There has been questions up in the air if we are doing the senior water slide down the hill at the last day of school. So we just have questions if we are allowed to do it, and if not, how we maybe can do it in a different way to still continue this tradition. And then I also realized that I did not include any slides about the senior trip. I didn't even realize it. It was, obviously everybody has an opinion how it went. It went pretty well for me. There was some cancellations that hurt me a little. We had spent like 3 hours in the hotel at one point, which we didn't understand. We spent like 3 hours at Dave and Buster's. That was a little confusing. And we left like many hours earlier. We were supposed to leave at like 1 p.m. on the itinerary, and we left at 10:30 a.m. So there was some complaints, but there was a lot of fun. I think my favorite town that we visited, I really like Boston. There's a lot to do and a lot of history behind it, which I enjoy. And then second would be Cape Cod, because we went to the beach for like 15 minutes, but I think it was like a nice little highlight before we left. We were all having fun at the beach. And then third for me was Salem. I just felt so spooky there. It felt very spooky for me. But I enjoyed the history part of what we learned at Salem. And that is all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Isabella. As always, we appreciate your feedback and your questions. I think I can answer all 3 of your questions. As far as the baseball field, I will certainly, we can explore getting a larger tarp, but I do know that the baseball fields are easier to tarp because we only need a small tarp for the pitcher's mound and the plate area versus the entire infield area for softball. So certainly something we could explore, but to give you an answer, I know that is why the tarp is not time for softball. Going to address the cell phone policy in just a little bit, and then I believe we are planning to do the senior water fountain this year. Thank you to board member right to your left, Mr. Jim Allen. He always organizes this beloved event, so thank you to Mr. Allen. We are looking at June 16th for that date. Do you have any questions for Mr. Helen?
No.
So June 16th for that, though, Isabella, the water side. Tonight's highlights include a presentation from our school social worker and co-chair of our Elevating Student Voices program. Please welcome Molly Parent.
Good evening. My name is Molly Karen. I am currently the K-12 social worker here. But tonight I'm here in the capacity as the co-chair of Honeywell's first Elevating Student Voices cohort. My other co-chair who couldn't make it tonight is secondary science teacher Dan. Elevating Student Voices is a program that was started by the Wayne Finger Lakes BoCES. It was first piloted in the capital region of BoCES with a lot of success. And we brought it to Wayne Finger Lakes BoCES, and it was an interesting ride, and definitely one that has been really beneficial to me and meaningful to our students. This program has a few different components. One of those is time at BoCES. So as part of the program, our students and Dan and I traveled to BoCES and had 3 discussion circles on different topics, which I will share in my next slide. In addition, we had 1 all-day youth summit. In addition to the time we spent at BoCES, one of the components of the program was working in our district to identify and implement a project. And so this is really where we were trying to amplify our current experiences to figure out what is something people hear, and then how can we implement a project that's going to elevate those voices even more. So after identifying and completing that project, we brought it back and were able to share that project with all of the BoCES regions and learn what other schools had done as well. Talking a little bit about the regional impact, you can see the picture of our crew up here at the summit, which was just last week. There were 73 students participating from schools across the region, with 4 from Honeywell. 19 school districts participated. There were 42 advisors. Those are staff members who are leading the students. HCS had 2. And there were 42 trained student facilitators. So students who added an extra level of training and were able to lead those discussion circles with their peers. And we had 2 representatives doing that from HCS. So a small team, but a really mighty representation of this new program, which was really just incredible to see. Thinking a little bit about the work we did in the district, our team worked very closely with Superintendent Luke and was able to meet on several different occasions to talk about the work that we were doing, the discussions that we were having, and figuring out how we can implement the project. As a result of those conversations, the project our team decided on was developing a survey for 6th through 12th graders that talked about things that Honeywell might need or the things they need, and things that Honeywell has that they want to keep. And it was really interesting to see the academic needs that we might have, but also the academic strengths, in addition to the social needs and the social strengths. It was really special, and you'll see in the next few slides some of the responses that we had. But as a result of that, we looked and analyzed that data and poured through it, and what we thought would be 1 meeting, it turned into 3, just because there was so much feedback. And advocated from that list, we heard from our students what changes they want to see, and they were able to really see those things happen in action with Superintendent Luke. And that's just really
a powerful leadership and empowerment opportunity for our students to be able to have their voices heard and have change happen as a result of that. So just a huge thanks to Superintendent Fluke for her willingness to partner with our team. In addition to that, our students created a presentation and shared out a poster session in BoCES just last week. While we were at BoCES, there were a few different components. There was a staff advisor training that Dan Delma and I attended over the summer last year. In addition, 2 of our students, who are pictured right there, participated in the student facilitator training to lead circles. Then we had 4 sessions. The first 3 were talking about what does diversity mean, and students engaged in community circle discussions regarding that. The second session talked about belonging and costs at school. They really dug into conversations about how much does it cost to be a student? What are those hidden expenses that we don't always think of, and how can we aim to decrease the barriers? Then we talked about social media, and we talked a lot about the potential and now real phone ban, and how students would like to have their voice heard and how that's implemented in schools across the region. And then finally, we had an all-day youth empowerment summit, where students were able to share about what they've done in their district, were able to listen to speakers and talk about how they can use their voice and how much it matters, and really just celebrate the hard work that they've done throughout the year. I wanted to highlight the presentation that our students made, because some could be here tonight. I thought it was really important to share what they made with you all. And so these next few slides are the presentation that was created and that was looped through during the poster session. So students shared, we met as a team and decided to survey our school on what's going well and what's going not so well. After the survey results came, we reviewed them. We made this huge spreadsheet that categorized into different themes. So we had academic class options, we had course scheduling. There was lots of feedback about lunches. There was some feedback about building facilities. And so we were able to kind of break those into categories and see where is there really a need here that lots of students are saying they'd like to see change. And where's there a huge strength here that we want to celebrate doing? So our students chose to make a word cloud, which was a really interesting and meaningful way to capture those responses. So we talked about what do you wish Honeywell had in academics right now. We took all of those results and put them in a word cloud generator. And a lot of what we heard were additional course options, wanting more science classes or more math classes, wanting some life skills programs, things like driver's education. We heard a little bit about sports and foreign language choices. So it was really interesting to be able to hear from students what they're wanting. And a lot of the action steps that we really put in place were knowing that students were wanting things that we already have, which is a great problem to have. That really what we need to do is better support our students, and especially our younger students, because we need this to middle school as well, and knowing what their options are as they get. It looks like my other slides got cut, but that is okay. No worries there. In our students' strengths, I love that word cloud just because when we look at it, the biggest thing is spirit. And I think as someone who's been a part of this community for the past 4 years, our students have so much pride in our school community. Our staff have so much pride in our school community, and for even our 6th and 7th grade learners to be able to say that the biggest strength that they see in our school is the community pride and spirit that we have. It's a really cool opportunity for us to know we're doing something right, we're on the right track. In addition, we had lots of great feedback on increasing AP and dual credit course offerings. And based on all of this analysis, our team was able to work with superintendent on making sure that the driver's education program was implemented, which is happening this summer, on clarifying school lunch portions and making sure that if kids are hungry, they're getting fed. We also are working on creating a more visual course outline and catalog what options there are for students.
So there's been a lot of action steps, and I think it's really special for our students to see their voice matters. They can use their voice, to connect with adults who will continue to amplify that and see real changes. And this program has really just left me with such a strong sense of pride and community spirit, in what we have here at Honeyway and the voices, that our students have. Does anyone have any questions about the program? Any thoughts? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Can we give Molly a round of applause? We greatly appreciate her support. She's been instrumental in launching the program. It's such a pleasure working with this group. The showcase last week was outstanding, and I just want to truly thank Molly and Dan for heading this team up. Thank you. Also wanted to share that Honeyway was awarded the 2025 School Safety Excellence Award, an award issued by Utica National in recognition of our school's outstanding efforts to create a safer school environment. So a special thank you to our district and building level safety teams for their commitment to providing input into making our schools safer. Thank you to them. This week, we celebrate those who make our school such a special place to be. It's Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week. It was truly a group effort this year in which students were included in deciding how to celebrate our staff. A special thank you to Carrie Clements and Elena Suggs of the Student Council, both elementary and secondary, were a part of this planning process, our PTA, and our entire leadership team, the wonderful ways in which we celebrate and show our love and appreciation for our amazing staff. So it's hard to see here, but each day they were highlighted in a special way. There were gifts, there was food served by our students, delicious soups and porks and chili. I see some teachers in the audience here who actually participated in some of that. There were raffles. Let's see, today there were candygrams. Tomorrow we have breakfast pizzas being delivered. There's cars, teacher car washes and staff car washes in the parking lot provided by our student council members. And Friday, Friday is the breakfast pizzas. So you can see there's something every day to celebrate our staff. Okay, and now moving on to updates, as you know, but I wanted to mention again, Tuesday, May 20th in the auditorium, very important that you're here, exercise your right to vote, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the auditorium lobby. As Derek mentioned earlier, Mr. Belize, although we are still awaiting the school aid runs from the state, go back here. There are several bills that have been passed and released at this time. So first, we have been advised that a continuation of the retirement system waivers is in the budget bill. It will be extended for 2 more years, which will be beneficial to us that our retired teachers can continue to work here 2 additional years. As we know, our candidate pool in the region for teachers is dwindling. So that will be helpful to our districts across the region. And now the highly anticipated cell phone policy bill. I think we were all kind of hoping this wouldn't happen, but as of yesterday, May 6th, officially the state is calling for a bell-to-bell ban, which means no use of cell phones from the first bell to the last bell. This will include passing times, lunch, and study halls. So we realize this is going to drastically impact our students, potentially our families. So we will be thoughtful in the rollout, will be involving all of our stakeholders in the development of our policy. So please be on the for communication about that. Unfortunately, at this time, this is not optional. On Tuesday, April 29th, all families UPK 12 were invited to join us in person for conversations regarding title funding, code of conduct, and our parent and family engagement policy. Those who joined us learned about how federal funds support our school and provide critical resources for student success, which Mr. Bastian will cover in just a few minutes. We also allowed families to provide input into our code of conduct. We spent a majority of our time on the use of cell phones, which ironically we will be changing, but we did get a lot of good feedback that we could implement within the plan. And the always popular conversation about dress code. But any changes made to the district code of conduct will be shared out, presented to the Board of Education for approval prior to our next school year. We also asked for feedback on how to strengthen the school's partnership with our families, and we received some suggestions which we will be able to implement. However, I do wish we heard from more of our families. There weren't a lot of people here. I do thank the people who were here. I'd like to offer another opportunity for our families to share their voice, their thoughts, their ideas. I'm not exactly sure how to do this yet, if it's going to be another town hall or if it may be a survey, but there will be another opportunity. We just want to hear from more of our families before making any changes to our parent and family policy. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bastian for our title funding presentation.
Thank you very much. As Mrs. Pook said, one of our topics on the 29th was title grants, so I want to give a brief introduction as to what the title grants are. Title grants are a form of federal funding. There are 6 or 7 title grants or subsets of title grants. They are part of the Every Student Succeeds Act, ETHA Act of 1965. The intention of the title grants is to provide some support to school districts, to communities with socioeconomic demographics, disadvantaged students who would benefit from a little bit extra in terms of funding for their district to support their education. I wanted to say before I moved on, the federal funds, these ETHA title federal funds, come from the federal government. They're funneled through the states to the school district. Again, they are based on what I would say perceived student wealth within a district. A district like Honeywell does not receive as much in title grant funding as many of our neighboring districts, even districts that we may believe appear significantly wealthier than we do. And one of the reasons for that is our robust property values in Honeywell. When you compare that to the number of students that we have, so especially we have with our lake values, the number of students we have, a division when that is taking place, that makes Honeywell look per student more wealthy than our students actually are, or the homes or the families that they may be coming from. So compared to other districts around us, we do not receive as much title grant funding. More would be helpful. And those formulas for the title grant funding are changing in current time. So of the 6 or 7 title grants, which ones does Honeywell receive? We receive Title 1A, Title 2A, and Title 4A. Title 1A is improving basic programs. Our allocation for 24-25 was $82,695. Our Title 2 grant, supporting effective instruction, was $14,550. And then our Title 4 grant, supporting student support and academic achievement, came in at $10,000. So altogether, we're looking at just over $100,000 in the title grants. And I want to look at each one of them a little bit further. So I should say also that districts apply for these grants in August. So we are in our pre-application phase where we're gathering information from the community as we did on April 29th, from staff, from administrators and school staff as well, in terms of how to best use these funds. So let's look at Title I first, improving basic programs. This is really to create a more robust educational academic program for all students, but specifically students who may be socioeconomically disadvantaged. So here are some allowable, and I should say for all of the title grants, there's an allowable category and disallowable or unallowable category. You can only spend these title grants on certain things, certain types of expenditures. Some of the allowable expenditures within Title 1A AIS, RTI, so academic credit recovery services or reading or math at the elementary, early intervention, things like that. You can pay for certified teachers, teaching assistants, summer programming, pre-K, extended day programming, teacher aides, staff directly linked to Title I, materials, supplies, possibly some technology, upgrades, parent liaison or coordinator, and professional development. So some really great options and ideas within that. But again, our allocation doesn't go too far with that, right? So there's great opportunities, but there's also some limits that come with that. Specifically, items that you cannot spend Title I grants on, things like principal salaries, lieutenant salary, food and refreshments, incentives for participation, field trips for entertainment purposes, construction, and the list will go on from there. Okay, this is not an extensive list, and there are handouts, and we can get you more information if you would like more. In addition to the allowable versus unallowable, there are other requirements, other hoops, if you will, that districts have to go through in applying for these funds, and that can make the decisioning around what we're going to expend from them a little more challenging, but it's a fight worth engaging in, because this is additional funds for our students for our district. Moving on to Title II, supporting effective instruction. So while Title I is specifically targeting instruction with, let's say, the staffing or the materials to improve student learning, Title II is really all about the professional development. So supporting teachers, so teachers can support students. So we have instructional coaching is allowed, professional learning communities, principal or teacher leadership courses, induction and mentoring, retention, recruiting of teachers. So any of these categories can be used here. And really the theme here is professional development. Class size reduction is also a possibility within Title II expenditures, and career readiness education. Unallowable, again, things like food and refreshments, curriculum writing over the summer, materials and supplies, furniture, etc., that do not apply to the Title II support of effective instruction. And then the third title grant we're looking at, Title IV. Title IV, think of whole child, think of things extending beyond academics, the basic coursework. Really, this can be opportunities for students in the area of mental health and counseling, food for instruction of healthy lifestyles, STEM, STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and etc. Enrichment type classes, music and arts, accelerated learning, drug and violence prevention. So just take that extra layer beyond the 4 core academic classes of what we can provide our students. These are examples of what we can do with Title IV-A, and then examples on the unallowable side of things we cannot do with that money again. Right? So at this point, our planned usage, although none of this is completely in stone yet, because we're soliciting input, our planned usage right now for 25-26, Title I-A, would be salaries for Title I eligible staff. In the past, this has been AIS staff, again, with that early intervention or response to intervention type of approach for struggling learners. Title II, we have in the past and are looking in the future to continue professional development opportunities for staff to supplement what we have afforded in the general fund for professional development for next year. And Title IV, right now the plan would be salaries for Title IV staff eligible to support STEM instruction. We've done that the last couple of years as well. The STEM/enrichment educator, a portion of their salary has come from the Title IV. So again, our purpose on the 29th was to share a little bit more about the title grants. We wanted to do that again tonight and just kind of give you a sense of where we've been and where we may be going with that, and to involve the community in learning a little bit more about these grants. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the business of the board. We will go on to consent agenda. We have minutes from April 23rd, 2025, April 25th, 2025, and CSE minutes. Our motion to approve these minutes.
I'll move.
A second,
I'll second.
is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried. Moving on to personnel, we have appointments. Upon the recommendation from Superintendent Fluke to approve the following appointments of a 24-25 secondary drama musical activity advisor, Joanna Wilstein as the musical piano accompanist, 24-25 unpaid assistant, and Greg Flynn, modified paid sub. I'm looking for a motion to approve these.
I'll move.
A second? Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's carried. New business, old business, we have some obsolete items. So upon the recommendation from Superintendent Fluke to declare the following items obsolete and to discard them, there's an old tractor backblade and brushes, master edge trimmer that hasn't been used in 10-15 years, field line. Declare these obsolete. Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Is there any opposed? All right, that is carried. We have invoices. Looks like two, Capital Region BoCE's invoice 367-25F and the emergency project SO 000-241-9803. Approve both of those invoices. Second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Contract resolution. I'm looking for a motion to approve the following upon the recommendation from Superintendent Fluke to approve the amendment to an individual contract. There's a lot of wording. All the board members have been able to read this, so I will ask for a motion to approve. And a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried. Moving on to the mowing bid. Upon recommendation from Superintendent Fluke to award the mowing contract for the 25-26 school year to Black Truck Enterprises and Clark. Looking for a motion to approve. And a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is carried. Capital improvement projects, we have two invoices. Capital improvement project Watts Architects and Engineers 44572 and SWBR 0002408-407. Looking for a motion to approve both of those. In a second.
I'll second.
All right, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Comments from the Board of Education. Does anybody have anything for this?
We just need to get our picture taken as well before she leaves. Maybe we can, paste Cindy in there somehow.
I have just a reminder for the board that June 27th is graduation, just to keep that on your radar. Super eval is still open for the board self eval. The superintendent's is also open at the time. So spare time should be out the laptop. You can be working. And then also at this time, the recorded meeting survey is still open. It hasn't really changed. There's responses. I was hoping to have that closed out. So meeting going forward, just talk about what we'd like to do fall. And I didn't know because that one link, we didn't think it could be shared the other day with a bunch of stuff. Is it possible now to share the link from the survey? So if we could do that on social media, then it just more well around with that. And then also May 16th is the Family Fun event. There's an email for everybody, if you have not seen it, from elementary principal to Banzo for that. And if no one has anything else, there is the information warrants for the board. And then, we will need to go into executive, but do we want to take a pause, quick, get a picture with Isabella, and then we'll make the motions to go into it? That's okay. How do you want to do it first? Motion? All right. All right, I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract negotiations. The second. Is there any discussion or answer? All right, all in favor? All right, any opposed? All right, we are in executive session.